Brothers, 5 months ago, a 4-year-old in this town was identified as a threat to radicalization for simply mispronouncing the word cucumber. Around the same time, another high school student in this town was also picked up and identified as being a threat for radicalization for identifying with the Palestinian cause and wearing a Palestinian badge. Similarly, in London, a young lady at high school was also looked upon as a threat of radicalization for questioning British values and what they stand for. People may argue that these are isolated cases, or that they are isolated cases and have no relevance in the overall scheme of the overall Prevent program. And people may argue that it's better to be safe rather than sorry in terms of picking up these individuals, or that they form a real legitimate security threat to ourselves in this town and this country that we live in. However, what is also true is that all of these cases and several other cases around the country have had a severe impact on the Muslims in this country. And that is why a group of us in this town have come together as a group of concerted individuals to try and fight the Prevent program, both here and nationally. We've tried to form a grassroots organization full of concerned individuals from ordinary backgrounds that know the effects of this on our families and on our children. Because every child affected by this program is like our child, and every family under duress is like our family, and every Islamic value and cause is our cause. We have decided that we are no longer going to sit idly by and let the government carry out this program upon us. We cannot simply lie down and accept this subjugation and intimidation. Because the two things that we value the most, our children and our way of life, is under constant threat from this Prevent program.
My name is Muhid. I'm a member of Hawk Building Masjid, and alhamdulillah I've been involved for the last 8+ years. I've been in Luton over 30 years, alhamdulillah, and been involved in various community activities, especially facing issues which face our community. But over the last few years, I've worked on youths, helping develop them in thinking so that they can have confidence in what they believe in, because the phobia around the society we live in day by day is increased, and they feel much pressure that they can't speak. They can't speak what is in their heart and what is in their minds. So giving them confidence, giving them ideas, giving them ability that they can speak freely and confidently about that creed which has come from Allah Azza wa Jal and Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, so that they can not only practice it in their houses but also in the classroom, in the playground, in colleges, in workplaces. It's very important that our next generation, they understand this clearly and confidently deliver this wherever they are. So, bottom line is, brothers and sisters, that this is not something new, because throughout the ages, Islam and the Muslims have produced many types of good and outstanding characters such as this, such better than what we're working on here. But it's something which is not new, that's my point. Islam has always been at the forefront of civilization. It has also ensured justice. Just to mention a couple. It is for this reason that I urge every one of you, my brothers and sisters, that we work together, the working group that I am part of as well. I would like to invite you, all of you here, to also be part of and unite together and work for this cause. And just to remind and finish it, the ayah where Allah says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. O believers, hold fast to the rope of Allah and do not be divided. So
moving swiftly on, I'd like Brother Hisham Parker, who's an accountant by trade and is a school governor in this town, and he's also a member of the Prevent Community Mosque Committee in this town. So Brother Hisham is also a member of this working group and was one of the foremost people who initiated this.
The reason I'm standing here today is because a number of us felt really strongly that we had to do something. We are not used to doing something, but we had to stand up and make a stand for various reasons. Part of it is our deen, part of it is our rights. But one of the main reasons I think I'm standing here today is because if you look back through historic events, in all of them you'll see probably some pivotal moment in which something was done or not done, which led to a consequence of events. And I'm standing here today saying, today we need to do something as a community. We need to act together, we need to forget our divisions, because we do have here in Prevent a potential threat to our freedom of expression, our deen, our life, and generally our livelihoods and our future in this country. We will demand our rights as productive citizens of this country. You know, we're here to work hard, to be productive, to contribute to this community. And we shouldn't forget that. And so, I want to go through this. Who organized? I get asked this question a lot. Who organized this event? Well, the organization of this event is just a collective of individuals, in reality. There is no group here. There are people who belong to various groups, and not any group, in fact, to be honest with you. So, there are people who represent the legal profession here. Myself, I'm a governor, a parent, an accountant. Really, my background is just the same as all of you guys. I've been born and brought up in Luton. Yeah, and I believe that now is the time to make a stance for our future, for our children's future, and where we want to go as a community in this country. Okay, so I'd like to emphasize that I've not traditionally been a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, but if you look in the last 15, 20 years at the direction of travel of the media, of government policy, you couldn't help but be worried. You couldn't help but be worried that all forms of expression are being clamped down on. You know, anyone who has any kind of dissenting view to the current norm of what is deemed British values, and whatever that means, I'm not really sure to be honest with you right now, has been challenged. It's being clamped down upon. And now we have a situation where in schools, children who can't say cucumber are being picked up for, I'm not sure why, is it a grammatical crime or is it really any other serious issue? You know, we need to really seriously think about what is going on and how we as a community should respond to this now. Because if we don't respond to it now, well, I'm not sure when we will ever respond. And I think one of the worst things that we picked up as a community in this country is the apathy of the indigenous population. We seem to have taken this attitude where, well, someone else will do it. But I assure you, nobody else will do it. It's going to be us or nobody else. Okay, so the group, as I said, is people from masajid, people from madrasas, people from schools. I am a parent governor, and we have all helped try to organize this event so we can all move together. We will be organizing future events at home. We will be coordinating collective action, signposting, etc. There's some excellent organizations here who will give us a review of what we should be doing immediately and in the long run as well. Okay, so one of the things I'd like to expose is basically, I as a governor and the chair of governors attended the RAP 3 training that is given to all teachers, teaching assistants, dinner ladies, or midday assistants as they call nowadays. And I sat there thinking, wow, they put some real effort into this. They've really gone to town. They had a full script, they had videos, they had exactly what they were told that you can say this, you can't say that. You have to say all of these things. And I'm thinking, wow, the government has really gone to town with this. Then I thought, well, why? Aren't there other issues that require this kind of attention? What about drugs? What about guns? What about crime? What about child abuse? What about poverty? All of these huge issues that exist in our community have nowhere near attracted the response and the resources that we seem to be putting to this agenda. Now, no one's saying that there isn't an issue. No one wants our children going to Syria, fighting for a cause that they may well think is a true cause. But the answer to that is education. And what's the real extent of the problem? Even if you believe government numbers, 700 out of 3 million. That's 0.002%. I'm an accountant, so I would know that. Yeah? But I mean, that minuscule number compared to the issues that we do have in this community. What is the root cause? How do we challenge it? What should be really done? So what we're here to do is say, is even if, and we do recognize there may be a problem in certain areas, how should the community and the government go around challenging this? Is the Prevent agenda the way to answer the problem? Okay, so really, I'm not going to speak for much longer because I've got a number of brothers and sisters who will do the job much better than myself. But what I'm going to say is, for me, now is the time to act confidently, to act decisively, to put our best foot forward. We are Muslim citizens of Britain. We demand our rights, we demand to be treated equally and fairly. And we demand the right for every other community to be treated the same. This is not just a Muslim issue. If you look at the agenda the whole way through, before you know it, there'll only be one way of thinking that's going to be allowed. And some of you may know 1984 by George Orwell. Well, I read when I was in school, a Chorley boy, just like most of you, some of you, I think not all of you. I keep going to Neil because he's a bit washer than us. But it does worry me that we seem to be entering into an agenda that seems to reflect that, where the government is all pervasive, where they have teachers, teaching assistants, social workers, doctors, spying on other individuals. Is this where we're going to go to? Is this what we call British values? Is this democracy? So I'm going to wrap up now, and hopefully the other brothers and sisters will do a great job, and we'll pick up any questions. If anyone does want to ask any questions about governorship in particular, I'll be available afterwards for a conversation. Okay, start with me.
Okay, I'm going to outline to all of you the topic of challenging Prevent, and in that regard, why it needs to be challenged and how to challenge it. As far as the why is concerned, you've heard from the fellow speakers on here tonight, and the bottom line is with Prevent, it is a piece of legislation which exists in the pre-criminal sphere. Now, what that means is this. Normally, if there's an allegation against you, the police are investigating you, you fall into the normal criminal law arena. And there are safeguards there to ensure that justice is done, to ensure that your name is not tarnished, to ensure that the rule of evidence, the rule of law is followed. The problem we have here, because we are operating in a pre-criminal sphere, none of those safeguards are there. And therefore, there is genuine risk that as Prevent is implemented, people who are innocent, hard-working people of good character, who've never been involved with the police, would have their name tarnished, would be subjected to alienation and persecution in a way. Because the bottom line is, the Prevent legislation, or rather the implementation of it, is prejudiced. It's inherently flawed and it's prejudiced. And how and why is that? And the other issue is this. Now, if you look at Prevent legislation, it might not say you need to look at Asians or blacks or Muslims. But if you look at who it affects people from a certain ethnic minority background. It affects people of certain faiths. So what that means, and to put it quite frankly, is whether it's the source drafting of legislation or its implementation, you are talking about an agenda which is inherently racist and Islamophobic. And then that leads me on to the how. How do we challenge something which is inherently racist and Islamophobic, something which is discriminatory? Now, in this community, I've heard two general
when the normal response of Muslims to this Prevent agenda is to be very fearful, not to speak out, not to come together. So the fact that we have so many people in one room to address this, alhamdulillah, is an excellent thing. I want to just say that nothing I'm going to say now contradicts what brothers have said before. And I'll explain what I mean as I go along, because I'm going to take a distinctly different approach to this problem. And I think Prevent And everything that comes with it needs to be addressed from many different ways, not just about discrimination and rights and justice, all of which is important. Everything the brother has said is important. But we've got to look at it beyond that as well. And when I address it as a Muslim, somebody who believes in Islam, that's advocating for Islam, you then come onto territory which is, nobody's going to be with you. When we talk about racism and discrimination and Islamophobia, there will be non-Muslims out there that will stand by you, because they are against these things in principle. The trade unions have spoken against Prevent. People in the universities have spoken against Prevent. You'll even find the odd MP that will speak against Prevent. When they make a mistake like saying cooker bomb instead of cucumber, people will see it's crazy and we've got to speak out against it. But you know, when you talk about, like the brother said, waking your children up to pray Salat al-Fajr, and that's sleep deprivation, and when you take that out into the public arena, well then you're on your own. Because loads of people out there in a secular liberal society will think that's very strange. That's very strange. This society, when I was a kid in primary school, before, food was served at lunch, they used to say a prayer. And the idea of that nowadays, that would be considered extremism, definitely. If a Christian school did that nowadays, that would be extremism. The three things I want you to take away from today. One, Prevent isn't about terrorism. I'm sure you all know that, but that message needs to be loud and clear. It's not about preventing violence, it's about preventing Islam. Two, yes, we have to raise awareness about the injustice of this, and you have to mobilize people to speak out against this. But there is more to do for us as Muslims in terms of living our Islam. And three, actually, if we believe in this Islam, live this Islam, carry this Islam, implement this Islam in the world, actually, it's a beacon of hope for many other people. And it's a mindset change we need in that. So why do I say Prevent isn't about preventing terrorism, it's about preventing violence? Well, just look at the examples that you've heard about today and in the media. Waking somebody up for Salat al-Fajr, men and women sitting separately like this, children being criticized for fasting long days in Ramadan, a child in a school asking for somewhere to pray on a school outing. None of these have any link to violence, to terrorism. And yet, these examples and many, many more are the kinds of things you and I hear about, which shows you that this agenda is actually nothing to do with terrorism. There's a lie at the heart of Prevent, which the brother said about radicalization theory. There's a lie at the heart of Prevent. The more Islamic you are, the more of a problem you are. So the solution becomes, let's make them less Islamic and then there'll be less of a problem. And it's not a UK agenda, it's not even a European agenda. When you look at the world, every time you see in the Muslim world movements coming up that are carrying a more Islamic message, we want to change this society. We're fed up of these dictators. We're fed up of the corrupt systems that we live under, and we want to live under the justice of Islam, under Khilafah, a real Khilafah, not phony. When people say this, you see all the global media coming out, politicians coming out saying this is unacceptable, and they will actually act to support those corrupt regimes. They'll go and invade directly even. So on a global stage, the more Islamic a country is, the more of a problem it is. And that's the way, Middle England has been radicalized against Islam. Because all these things are portrayed in a way that somehow links them to violence. And this is the lie at the heart of Prevent. that we should all understand and be clear about. Because if you're not clear about that, when you speak against Prevent, you somehow think, well, you know, am I somehow supporting terrorism? Am I somehow supporting violence? No, you're speaking out against something which is fundamentally there to target beliefs and ideas, not about violence.